Let's move to another front in what you could call the same battle. The Pentagon revealing that last Sunday, a U.S. Navy warship in the Arabian Sea boarded what appeared as a traditional sailing vessel and discovered it was smuggling Iranian-manufactured weapons, including 150 anti-tank guided missiles and 3 surface-to-air missiles. Now, Iran is under prohibition from a United Nations Security Council resolution preventing it from shipping weapons abroad. These were believed headed for Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen. Well, joining us from Washington is Bradley Bowman, Senior Director of the Foundation for the Defense of Democracy Center on Military and Political Power. And Brad, since the Qasem Soleimani targeted killing, it seems there's been a relative quiet or downplaying of this sort of conflict being waged between the U.S. and Iran in the Middle East. But I think this is a reminder that this is still going on, maybe a little less out of the spotlight, but it's still happening.
Yeah, no, I think you phrased that about right. I mean, since 1979, more or less, the Islamic Republic of Iran has used terrorist proxies to conduct terror and to further its objectives. And the reason that Tehran does this, of course, is they want to avoid attribution and retribution. So that's why they have proxies like Hezbollah. That's why they've sought to develop proxies like the Houthis. And while the Qasem Soleimani strike, I think, reestablished to some degree much-needed deterrence of Iran in terms of directly attacking and killing Americans. Unfortunately, of course, the Islamic Republic of Iran continues its support for terror proxies like Hezbollah and now the Houthis.
And Bradley, we hear about this incident at sea, similar to one we heard about last November, but it's known that the Iranians are shipping weapons into Yemen for the Houthis. The U.S. tried to organize a bigger maritime force there. How effective or not do you think the U.S. is in preventing, and its allies preventing, this smuggling of weapons into Yemen?
Clearly, more needs to be done. I mean, this is easier said than done, of course, because we suspect or know that these smuggling routes not only go via maritime routes, but in some cases go via land. So this is hard. Weapon systems can be broken down and smuggled in small pieces and then reassembled. And so the Iranians are quite good at smuggling weapons. That's one of the things they do. Rather than focusing on the welfare of the Iranian people, they spend their time and finite resources trying to export weapons and terror to threaten and hurt those around them, and they've become quite good at it. So the U.S. is doing some things right, but more needs to be done because, unfortunately, some weapons are still getting through to the Houthis and to proxies like Hezbollah.
Bradley, you're saying more needs to be done. Let's put it in the broader political context. We just saw the vote in the U.S. Senate, majority in the Senate passing this resolution limiting President Trump's power to take military actions against Iran. He's going to probably veto that, and it won't be overridden. But is this an indication that President Trump has to do better into selling his anti-Iran or Iran containment policy there in Washington?
I think the most important thing here following the Senate vote is for the Islamic Republic of Iran not to misinterpret American politics. As someone who worked in the Senate for 8 or 9 years, I think the main message that the Islamic Republic of Iran needs to take is that America will defend itself and its troops. Our troops have an inherent right of self-defense, and the Soleimani strike demonstrates that this White House will not tolerate the death of Americans, so they'd be very wise to take note of that. This resolution will be vetoed by the president. It will not be overridden. And a lot of people are talking about this resolution, haven't even read it. If you actually read it, it commends the Soleimani strike in the findings section. And people like Senator Todd Young of Indiana, Naval Academy grad and Marine, in his statement about his vote in support of it, he was one of the 8 Republicans supporting it, applauded the strike on Soleimani. So it was not a condemnation of the Soleimani strike. It was just saying, based on their interpretation of the Constitution, that Congress should be involved in subsequent decisions focused on attack on the nation state of Iran.
All right, Bradley Bowman at the FDD, thanks for joining us.